The purpose of this video is to emphasize the importance of teaching the bad habits, but to place a bigger emphasis on the active commitments on what you are actually doing actively to stay addiction free. What are you doing also to stay free, to grow, and to heal your wounds from this addiction? Not only just what you're not doing. You're not engaging in this addiction anymore. Well, that is good, but it just leaves a vacuum inside of you. People tend to forget that. But what are you doing next? Are you doing something else, or are you just cruising along? And so you have given yourself a little audit on your everyday habits and behaviors, or the things you do. And you have discovered that some of the things you do are not quite good in the long term. And you may recognize that this habit might be hedonic in nature and it's very short term. It's relatively easy to get, but the positive effects on it last for a very short period of time. Especially when you watched the video about when I talked about hedonic and eudaimonic well-being and the differences between these two. Let's say you have examined this one habit that you have, that you do it quite often because it solves some kind of a problem for you. It gives you a good feeling. It allows you to medicate some kind of issues in your life. It allows you to escape from problems. It entertains you and it gives you a good feeling. And that's why it has stayed with you, because your mind, your brain thought that this set of routine, this set of action, this habit is extremely useful because it gave you the reward of a good feeling. And it now it has saved this habit for any time you are met with some kind of a trigger, and you want to get rid of this habit because it doesn't actually service you. You look the actual costs and benefits of it, and you see for yourself that this habit is actually not good, and it actually damages your well-being in the future for the long term. For example, in terms of your wealth and in your relationships, but also in your health. This one habit can actually become your addiction until it completely consumes you, and you become this moral physical wreck who doesn't know what to do with his life and just seeks for the next best thing that allows him to escape from reality once again. So let's say Johnnie has a porn addiction. Fell into this habit when he was young because he didn't know at the time that pornography is very addictive, and it's very life destroying and soul sucking means to get your needs met, and it's very a bad way to get your needs met. While it actually doesn't solve your needs, it just provides a temporary solution to your everyday problems, and the problems are always there. They will never go away. You just escape from them, and he just did this to beat boredom, to get fast pleasure and joy and strong feelings in terms of increasing his social status, even if it's having sex with multiple women on a computer screen. So if Johnny wants to get rid of his porn addiction, then he first has to figure out his exact habit loop of his one habit. What is the trigger? What causes him to have this immense craving to watch porn and to jack off and get the sexual release? And the second is, what is the exact routine? What is the thing he does to get that reward? What is the set of actions? For example, Johnny, it may be going to behind his computer, typing in his favorite address and selecting the video, and then checking off and getting the orgasm and the sexual release, and now he is satisfied. He got the feelings of immense pleasure, and that's his reward. I got this wrong for the first time. I went on my journey of quitting porn. I just removed the porn, and I didn't watch porn anymore. But then it left this big empty space, like a vacuum inside of me, and I had chunks of free time in my dailies, and I just didn't know what to do with that, and eventually just I fell back into the addiction. What else I was going to do? The urges came back, and I just fell back into the addiction because I didn't actively do anything else, and to stay free, to grow, and to heal, and eventually I just fell back because urges came. I didn't do anything about them to stay out of them. I didn't do any kind of active commitments like taking a new hobby or going out to meet my friends more often, or taking on like any kind of creative tasks that puts me in the flow state, or anything like learning new skill or doing something more constructive with my free time. But I didn't do, and eventually just cravings just kept coming. They didn't go away because my mind wasn't engaged with something else, and I just fell back into addiction and relapse many times. But in this video right now, I just want to emphasize the importance of active commitments also when you take on this journey of quitting your addiction. They are very important because when you're left with the empty space, it's just a matter of time when you fall back. And in this video, I will explain about those active commitments a little bit later. But first, we have to talk about how Johnnie can quit his porn addiction. So once Johnnie has figured out his habit cycle of his porn addiction, so for Johnnie, it's like he had a bad day in school. He comes home, he is tired, he is exhausted, he's maybe angry or sad, and he may like have a growing desire to feel good about himself, or he goes to like a computer to surf through web until he sees something that is intimate in nature, and now he's just like a click went on his mind that okay, now I want to have a sexual release. I want to watch porn and to get off because I want it. And now Johnnie feels the craving to get off. And what he does is he goes to his favorite porn site. He chooses his next novel video that he has never seen before. He's in the zone. He is jacking off, and he's getting his reward of feelings. The feelings of satisfaction and the orgasm, and it allowed him to take a pause and get away from the reality that he had before, when he was feeling sad and angry and anxious and worried about something, because he had a bad day in school, right? So once Johnnie has figured out his cycle of the habit, then some questions may pop up. What is the exact trigger that creates this craving for Johnnie to watch porn and to jack off? Maybe it's like a distraction from the current circumstance. Maybe it's like to medicate negative emotional feelings. Maybe it's to get away from loneliness. Maybe it's to socialize in a fake virtual sense of way. Maybe it's like to have this status increase, even if it's fake, by sleeping with many different girls as Johnnie wants, even if it's on the computer. And but Johnnie's emotional side thinks that this is all right and this is good for me, and I feel good at the moment. But once Johnnie gets out of this zone of this habit, his rational side now realizes that. Dude, we haven't done anything, and the thing you just did is just fake, it's not real, and you deceive yourself again. So we are pretty disappointed because we didn't move any closer on boosting our social status in a real way. But yeah, okay, at least you got to get off, right? So to figure out the triggers that causes the craving for a reward, Johnnie needs to do a little bit of experimentation. That might take him a couple of days to a couple of weeks. Why? Because rewards solves different cravings. For example, if Johnnie engages in the habit of watching porn and jacking off, he is solving the craving for addressing some kind of pain in his life, like some kind of emotional pain. He wants to escape from the negative circumstances on his life. And when Johnnie goes into this virtual fake world of sexual success with many different partners in his porn site, then he can deny this bad reality and the bad circumstances that he is in currently, and instantly transport himself to a better place. Johnnie might try to get an orgasm just out of just only for the feelings of satisfaction and fulfillment. Or yeah, he could take a pause from the current task that he's doing. Maybe it's like he wants to take a break from the from his homeworks or the current tasks that he's doing, and going to the habit of watching porn is a good way for him to take a pause from mentally taxing tasks. Or Johnny is just bored, and he found out that watching porn is very entertaining in nature. Also, it's very novel. He gets to see lots of different types of shit out there, and it's just engaging and very addicted to the mind. That he is always chasing for the next best thing, and the next best thing is always the next novel new video that he can get to choose whenever he wants, or to escape from the feelings of loneliness. Maybe Johnny feels the need for like having an intimate connection with someone, but he doesn't have a real life partner, and he goes to his favorite site and to have a fake virtual kind of intimate connection. It's always the craving for intimate connection for a little bit, for a short term, but it's better than not solving it at all and feeling bad all the time. So at the start of his experiment, when Johnny feels the trigger happening again, what he does next is not going to his porn site. He is doing something else. He chooses the different kind of routine or a set of actions that brings him a different kind of a reward. It's important that this new routine or thing that he does is also useful in a way that brings him a different kind of a reward. So instead of watching pornography, Johnny goes to the kitchen and cooks himself a good, nice, tasty meal. Or he goes shopping and buys himself a good meal, or like a healthy, good snack, or whatever. And the next day, and instead of watching porn, Johnny goes out for a walk for at least 20-25 minutes. Next time, he does a little workout in the other room. It's like doing push-ups, pull-ups, or squats, or whatever. The next time he takes a really good power nap. And again, the next time he is just calling to his friends and talking with them. Or choosing from any kind of these flow state activities where he's like, where Johnny feels like he is like immensely engaged with the task. It can be like a creative task, like playing a musical instrument, or like mixing up some videos, or filming something, or filming wild animals in the nature, maybe like doing a really good workout, or maybe like drawing something, maybe like poetry, or maybe like engaging in some kind of sports. The point is to do something else that is also good for you. And it's better for Johnny that he changes the current environment that he is in right now, and goes to do something else in somewhere else. And then after Johnny has finished the walking or the workout, or communicating with his friends, he comes back to his original location. Then he takes out a piece of paper and scribbles down the first 3 to 4 words that he is currently feeling. For example, like when Johnny goes out for a walk, he comes back, he takes a piece of paper, he writes down what he is currently feeling, or what kind of a sense he can reflect currently. Maybe he feels like refreshed, at ease, energized, it could be anything, right? And the point is this, for Johnny to force his current awareness on the thing that is feeling right now, which will help him to remember after the end of the experiment of what he was feeling at the moment when he was what he was feeling at the right moment when he finished the new routine. And it helps Johnny to figure out if the new routine that he did was actually good for him, and does he actually feel better than he did before. So after Johnny has scribbled down the words, Johnny puts on the timer for 15 minutes, and once the timer goes out, then Johnny will ask himself, do I still feel the immense craving to watch porn and to jack off? And now, either he is still craving for it, or he is not craving for it. That means that if Johnny went out for a walk for 20 minutes and he is still feeling the cravings to watch porn and to jack off, then it means that his craving was not driven by his inner desire to seek out for a distraction and a break from the current task. That's what walking gives you. It gives you like a moment to pause, to distract yourself with something else, and to engage more with the nature. Now Johnny knows that this trigger and this need for a reward wasn't driven by his inner desire to have a distraction and a break. Johnny, just like you and me and everyone else, we have cravings inside of us, but we are not just very conscious of them, and they will just pop out as a need to get something. So the point of this experiment is for Johnny to figure out what kind of a craving is actually driving this habit of watching porn, because this one habit, especially as powerful and addictive one as porn addiction, it can actually solve many, many different types of cravings, just like I mentioned before, like in terms of medicating negative feelings, denying bad circumstances, to get this sexual release, to get the feelings of satisfaction, to take a break or a pause from reality, or to beat boredom, or to get away from the loneliness. And Johnny just experiments with different kinds of rewards in order to actually figure out his inner unsolved cravings and deep desires that he has inside of him, but he doesn't know how to solve them properly because he's not conscious of his inner desires. That just manifests currently as our cravings to watch porn, right? As I mentioned before, like when he does this one routine, and after 50 minutes, he still feels the craving to watch porn, right? Then the next time Johnny does something else, he calls to his friend and talks with him at least 30 minutes. And then Johnny comes back to his room, sets the timer for 50 minutes, and then he asks himself again, do I still have the immense craving to watch porn and to jack off? And then Johnny feels, no, I don't. I don't have the craving to watch porn, to jack off, and to get this fake virtual means of communication. I just talked to my friend. I had a really good time with that, and now I don't feel any cravings anymore. That means Johnny has actually now solved his cravings for socialization, or maybe also to not feel lonely because he got to talk with his friend, right? So yes, the purpose of this experiment is to determine what kind of a craving is driving the trigger to routine and the need to get a reward. And the end of the experiment, Johnny has now figured out what kind of a cravings that he has, and that what he has solved previously with this one habit of porn addiction, but now he did something else, a different kind of routine, and it actually has solved his craving for taking a break, taking a rest, having a social interactions, or just feeling good, or having the sense of a growth and achievement by choosing a different kind of routines that are actually useful for him. And now Johnny has isolated the hidden cravings that he has, that he seek to solve with his habit of pornography. And that is the most essential thing on redesigning, on replacing the bad habit with a better one. First, you have to actually know your habit loop and to figure out what are you actually craving and how to choose for a better routine to actually solve them. And that was the step number 2. And now we are moved over to the third step, which is to isolate the trigger. To identify the trigger, the best way is just to look at these 5 things, these 5 variables, like the location. Where are you currently located when the trigger has happened? What is the time? What is your emotional state? What are you feeling currently when you got triggered? Are there other people around you? Or are you alone? And what is the action, what is the thing that happened momentarily before you got triggered? So when I try to figure out the triggers that gave me the craving to go to the porn site and to jack off, I wrote down every day, like for at least like a week. And every day, when I got triggered, I wrote down the location, the time, my emotional state, are there other people around me, and what was the preceding action before that. The first day when I got triggered, what was the location? I was home behind my computer. What is the time? It was after lunch. What was my emotional state? I was feeling bored and lonely. Are there other people around you? No, I was alone in my room. I live alone. What was the preceding action before the trigger? I was just scrolling through social media and I just saw like I have a naked chick. And then I was triggered. And that was now the five variables of my trigger. So the next day, I was again triggered again. What is the location? I'm in my room sitting behind my computer. What is the time? It was evening. What is my current emotional state? I was feeling sad, anxious. I was worrying about the future. I was alone. I was just feeling sad. Are there other people around you? No, I was alone. I live alone. What is the preceding action before the trigger? I was looking for ways to solve my issues a little bit, but couldn't figure out anything, and it just got me more angry. And I just wanted to escape even more from these bad negative feelings until I was hit with an urge to just go and watch porn and to check off. So the third day, the location in behind my in my room behind the computer. What is the time? Again, it's like late late afternoon. What is my emotional state? I was feeling tired and lonely, and also a little bit sad about my current circumstances. Are there other people around you? No, I'm alone. What was the immediately preceding action? I was watching a movie or a TV show, and I saw something. And I saw something that was intimate in nature. So when you do this by yourself, you begin to see the pattern of when you are most likely triggered in the terms of location, time, on your emotional state. Are you like alone, or are there other people around you? And what was the action that happened before? So I now noticed that I was most likely to be triggered when I were scrolling through social media or watching movies or doing anything on a computer, when I was feeling sad, bored, lonely, depressed, anxious, worrying, or just angry about myself. I was always alone, and the location, and it always happened in my own room behind my computer. And the times like in the noon or in the evening. So now I began to see things in my daily life that push me into being triggered and to get the cravings to go to my porn site and to check off. I was just trying to escape from my negative feelings. I tried to nuke them away with pornography. I didn't want to feel the feelings of loneliness. Every time I felt shitty about myself or about my life, I wanted to escape from those feelings. I wanted to teleport myself into this wonderful pleasure land where I can have sex with multiple women at once. And it works really well on deceiving the emotional part of our brain. I knew now that I had to do something about my loneliness, about my time spent on the internet, and something also about my shitty feelings if I want to get rid of this habit. And now Johnny has figured out his habit cycle. He figured out the cravings that he has, that he tried to solve with this porn addiction, but now got to actually solve them for the first time in a healthy way by choosing a different kind of habit, a different kind of better routine that also brings more useful and more fulfilling rewards. And Johnny has isolated his trigger. Maybe Johnny also has to now do something about his time spent on the computer or on his phone, and he has to do something about his negative circumstances and the negative feelings that he has all the time. He has to do something about them. We now need a plan. We need a plan in our everyday life to set up the new routines that we have discovered in the second phase of finding out what kind of routines actually solves our cravings in a healthy way, and now put those new routines into our daily schedule. And now Johnny also have to and now Johnny has to minimize the triggers happening. He has to correct his environment in a way that the triggers do not happen that often. He has to do something about his device usage, and maybe just for Johnny it means just taking on a different kind of a hobby that also consumes his time, and where he gets to socialize. Maybe Johnny goes out and takes on a new dancing class, or maybe just going out for a walk every day, and starting his day with a meditation and a quick exercise, and meeting up with his friends more often in a week, and engaging in tasks that drives Johnny into this flow state where he feels like he's completely immersed in the activity. He enjoys this, and he feels like time does not exist. Johnny also has to correct his environment. He has to do everything he can to minimize the dangers of falling back into this addiction by reducing the triggers, and maybe just not spending so much time at his own room. He maybe has to go out more, and also by having active commitments on what he is actually doing to stay addiction free, to grow, and to heal from his wounds. So for Johnny, the plan of recovery, the journey of a recovery, always has to start with the start date on when Johnny is actually ready to commit himself onto starting this new journey. So for Johnny and for you, it better be the next fucking day when you watch this video. No point of wasting your time on this old destructive habit when you know that there is a way out and there is a better way to live your life. So the next step on your recovery plan is the ownership. This is your selfish reason on why you should go, for example, porn free. One of the best ways to come up with the selfish reason is just to think about what are the most negative outcomes that porn has caused you. Maybe it caused you to have erectile dysfunction. Maybe it has ruined up your relationships. Maybe it has made you terribly ashamed of yourself. So you're sick of this one big reason, this one negative effect that porn has caused you, and you want more of what? More of the freedom, more of this benefit. And what is the benefits of quitting porn addiction? I'm sure you already know that, but you have to choose the best one for yourself. How about getting back your feelings of proudness? How about getting back the ability and the self-confidence of talking with the girls again? How about feeling energized again? How about not feeling so lazy and so weak and so clouded-minded all the time? How about getting back the motivation to enjoy the little things in life? All the things that porn has cost you negatively, and all the things that you want. This is your selfish reason to break away from porn addiction, and this is the ownership. You take charge on your recovery by setting to yourself what you don't want anymore and what you actually want out of this journey. And the next is your awareness on your weaknesses. You have to map out all the things that you're struggling with. Maybe it's the mistakes in the beliefs. Maybe it's the negative circumstances. Maybe it's the bad environment. All the problems and issues in you and around you that might sabotage your recovery journey. These issues and problems around you and in you are often the reasons why you got addicted in the first place. Your issues or problems might be like you're feeling shitty all the time, you have a little self-confidence, you feel unlovable, you are lonely all the time, you're not happy with your career, or you're not happy how you're doing in school currently. You're unhappy about not having so many friends. You're not happy about having nothing else to do than to sit on a computer. Like you want to grow, you want to do something else, but you can't, and that just makes you feel shitty, and you just want to escape from those bad feelings. So find out the unique problems and issues that you have in your life, and just address them in your awareness list. Now you are like written them down, you know that they're there, and in time you can just start to figure out of what you can do to actually solve them. Maybe you can ask for your parents to help on some of those things. So it's better to take some kind of an action to try to start to solve them slowly, a bit by bit. And you now have awareness of them. You can anticipate the problems that might come out of this that pushes you back to relapse, and you know how to decide for better in the moment, in the critical moments of your recovery, when you are like in danger of falling back and relapsing. And now the consequences. What is the consequence if you relapse? You know, it kind of has to be like a serious price to pay if you relapse, if you fall back to watching porn. It's something that you have to commit to do if you look porn, if you choose to look porn again and to relapse again. That will cost you time and money. Maybe it's like quitting coffee for 30 days. Maybe it's like helping out your parents with the housework, or like washing the dishes every night. Maybe it's like quitting video games for a week. Just define this negative consequence for yourself, because it's so easy to go back to the drugs, to go back and watch porn and to check off. If you don't have any consequences ringing inside of your mind when you're about to relapse, it's just so easy to go through it and to relapse without having any kind of consequence of doing the bad thing. And even if you relapse, then you have something now that you're doing. You have an action that you're doing, and you're not like wallowing in self-pity. And the next time when you start your reboot again, you're like now anticipating a result, a consequence that happens again if you choose to relapse, and you're not just reacting to things. It's a good way to train anticipation of future outcomes and to hold yourself accountable. So, the milestone dates. So, once you have successfully pushed through for at least 30 days, then it's time to celebrate the wins. It's a time to do something good for yourself, to celebrate your wins of getting so far in the journey of recovery. And it's also like the way to revise your current plan and to add in more things that worked better and to remove things that didn't work so well. Maybe you started this one useful new hobby that doesn't really do any good, and now you just throw this out. And now just throw this out and replace it with something else that might serve you for the better. And what you should definitely do is to add in more milestone celebrations after every 7 days, after every 14 days, and so on. It's important to celebrate those small wins in your journey. So, the active commitments. The plan is not just what you're not going to do anymore. It is also about what you're doing actively, so that you're growing also in your reboot journey. You're healing your wounds. You're having a healthy self-care. You're doing things that you can grow and to advance in. All the activities that allows you to grow and to heal and to stay addiction free. So you can like ask yourself, what are my needs to stay connected with the people? What do I need to do to stay connected and to socialize? What kind of a self-care do I need to do every day? What do I need to do when I'm in a challenging situation? For example, like having a challenging event, like chunks of free time where you are alone, and you know that when you're alone, this is where you're most in danger of getting triggered. Or like when you have an unaccountable time in your daily schedule. How are you going to deal with that? The active commitment for that is just, and it may be just putting your phone on the table and going out for a walk, or going out for a coffee shop and reading a good book in there, where you're not alone. There are other people around you, and you're doing something else that is useful for you, like reading a good book. You need to like anticipate some of the things that might happen and come up with the counter activity that prevents you from falling back to relapse. And just add those commitments to your calendar. Like Wednesday, Friday, you will go out to your favorite coffee shop. You take your textbook with you, or you take your favorite book with you, and you just spend a couple of hours in there. And in the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, you will go out and have a gym workout. Think about it. It sounds much more successful than when you say then saying to yourself at those periods of unaccountable time, I'm staying in my home and I'm not gonna watch porn. Right? You have to anticipate the challenging times and events in your daily schedule and come up with things that you can do to prevent them. You have to set up those commitments because your brain is just so used to like every time when you're alone that it means that you're thinking like all the things that you could do and what is the best thing I could do right at this moment when I'm alone and I have so much free time to get off and let off a little steam and to feel peak pleasure at the push of a button. Planning active commitments, active routines on your everyday. Like when you wake up in the mornings, you will do like a quick workout. You do like 50 push-ups, you do 50 triceps, you do 25 squats, and then you will meditate 10 minutes, like really deep breathing exercises. Inhale like fully with your tummy, like a full deep breathing exercises that when you do this for 10 minutes, your head might get dizzy, but they will like load you with a different kind of energy that is like so much better than having a cup of coffee. Planning healthy, good, active commitments that will help you to stay strong in your recovery journey. So, your self-care. This means you have to take care of your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical needs. You need to have a sense of well-being. You need to like have a purpose or a mission or a goal in your life. This progress will give you the sense of achievements. You have to like learn how to calm your mind by doing meditation. You need to like communicate and socialize, and maybe you need to have like physical closeness with someone, and you can do it just by going to dancing classes where you are like dancing with other people and you're like in a close proximity and you are feeling the sense of physical closeness and you're like holding them and you're moving with them. You need to take care of your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical needs in a healthy, natural way and recharge yourself properly. All the cravings, all these inner subconscious desires that there are just plainly, physical, emotional, and spiritual need that you just got to solve them with the porn addiction, right? As you learned before, that porn addiction can actually solve all of these different kinds of needs in a relatively short way and with a low effort. But porn doesn't actually solve them. It just provides a temporary release from those problems, those bad feelings, and from those pains that you have. You're not actually doing anything in real life that solves them. It's all just fake and virtual. It's not really taking care of your needs. And you're only left by wanting more because you didn't actually solve your needs and they just keep growing bigger and bigger, and you need like heavy doses of your choice of a drug. So look up for a natural and a healthy ways to solve your craving. And if you don't do healthy self-care by meeting your spiritual, physical, and emotional needs, you will fall back into porn addiction. And the last one, plan activation by the others. Who else is there with you? Who is there to witness your newfound commitment of going into a recovery journey? They all validate that you're committing to this agreement that you just made for yourself to go porn-free and to start the recovery journey. It doesn't mean anything if it's just you committing to this agreement, and there is like no one else to witness that agreement. It's like you're doing it in secrecy. It's not that important, and you can like break this agreement without any relevant consequence. If you don't share this agreement with anybody else, like for your best friends, maybe to your father, maybe to your mother, it's just meaningless. It's like you're taking this exam in home all by yourself with no others to validate you. It's like you had taken this exam, the test of your skills and your expertise, or the test of your strength and your resilience on your discipline, and there is like no one else to validate that you're actually this strong and disciplined to go through it. By having connection in recovery, it is so much more meaningful when there is like other people in there to validate your determination to this agreement. It's like the thing that activates us to perform better. It's much more intimidating to think perfectly when there are others that are hoping for me, and if I fail them, and I don't want to have this negative outcome. That's why it's like very important to have other important people to you to validate your agreement of going into this recovery journey. Others helps us to keep it real, and also to give feedback about yourself that you might haven't noticed by yourself, or maybe also about your weaknesses on your personality that could negatively affect your success on the recovery journey. They can guide your attention back to the things that you're not addressing, that you're not dealing with, that you're not doing something to solve them, or when you're just not following your plan correctly. They can notice that and push you back to your plan. They can pinpoint your attention back to the things that you set out to follow, but you're not doing it. Actually, that might be the most important thing you need to do in your successful recovery. They can tell you, oh, did you follow the routine of going to the gym twice a week? And you say like, no. And they say like, what the hell are you doing, bro? You need to do this. This is the important thing you set for yourself, and you absolutely need to do this. This is like the general example of others holding you accountable on your agreement. And it's better to choose those people in your plan activation who is almost like your tribe. The people who are helping you, the people who support you. Those are the people like you want to do your plan activation. For me, I didn't do plan activation by including other people. I just got doing this all by myself for some reason. I just did my own reboot and recovery journey just without using help from the others. But that means you will likely have more relapses, and you will do lots of more intense self-work to actually figure out your issues and to how to address them correctly, and how to behave the next time when you're hit with the trigger again of planning ahead your future, and dealing with the problems, dealing with the leaks in your ship, and going back to the harbor, fixing them again, going back to the sea more further than you went before, and to see if you have any leaks, and then just when you have, then you just go back and repair the leaks until you have this like a fully fixed, sturdy, strong ship that you can use to sail through life without any problems, effortlessly, and without any of those addictions or similar destructive habits ever coming back to you again. So these are the key points on Johnny's recovery plan that he can use to forever quit his most destructive habit or addiction and never let it come back. Only by carefully doing all the steps laid out in here, and to take this belief in himself that I am worthy to pursue this effort, and to keep doing this until I succeed. So stay sharp, stay aware, and stay free. Thanks a lot for watching this video, bro. I also put together this free follow-through protocol or plan that has all the necessary steps in it that I just talked about so that you can start with your own rebuilding journey. You know, just make a better choice today so that your future self is a lot more happier, a lot more fulfilled, and a lot more proud of itself. By, removing those bad hedonistic habits that you might have grown addicted to. It will be worth a ton. I promise you that.